On this special 100th episode of System Integrators Weekly, you're finally going to get a look at what your favorite PC DIY YouTubers have to say about pre-builds. All that and more on this special 100th episode of SI Weekly. Let's go, nerds! Hello everyone, I'm Thorn, and we made it to 100 episodes of SI Weekly. This doesn't make sound. Why? It's supposed to. Cuddles, can you put a sound in? Yay! 100 episodes of helping you guys find the right pre-builts for you, for what you need, for your budget, all that good stuff. And boy, oh boy, has it been a crazy, wild ride. And I really want to say thank you so much to Mr. Cuddles for all the hard work you've put into this. Thank you so much, my friend and my brother and my best bud from Canada, eh? I appreciate you, dude. And sorry for all the bad Canadian references. And also to you guys for watching, liking, subscribing, like the things that every YouTuber says, but like it actually really does make a huge difference. Thank you so much. Believe it or not, this series has kind of made a difference in the industry, and I never ever expected that to happen. We'll talk a little bit about that, but the main thing we're doing on this episode is we're finally releasing all of the interviews from LTX that I got with some of my favorite people in the industry, on YouTube, and just in the community in general. And you know, these I put off because of the LTT drama, and then I had QuakeCon, and then just reviews and deadlines and all kinds of stuff came up, and I just never got them out. Now is the time, and it feels right, because you guys need to know that a lot of the DIY content creators out there that focus on that part of the hobby might have some things to say about pre-built PCs that you may not expect. Of course, before that, we do have to pay the bills around here, and a big thank you to VIP CDK Deals for being such a long-standing supporter of the series. It has helped out tremendously, and I hope you guys, if you ever do need a Windows key or software license, we've had plenty of people in the community who have liked them. Let's run the ad.
The best place to go when you want to get yourself an OEM Windows license to get rid of that annoying watermark and unlock all the customization Windows has to offer. So instead of paying well over $100 for a retail version of Windows, you can get an OEM key for a fraction of the price. Plus, you can use my code BRAY25 to get a nice fat discount off of the already discounted price. Keep in mind that this is an OEM key that gets attached to this system and cannot be used with another one or if you change your hardware. Make sure you get the right key for your operating system. For more information on how to use CDK Deals, click the link in the description saying here's how it works, and I'll walk you through the whole thing. Thank you, CDK Deals, for continuing to support the channel.
Now, first things first, to let you guys know, I do know that Black Friday is coming up, and we have another video coming out right before Black Friday to let you know all the deals out there, and we're going to be doing about 3 streams, I believe. I'm probably going to be doing a stream on Wednesday, so before Thanksgiving, whatever, you know, and then on Black Friday, okay, because some deals are gonna, some SIs are gonna wait until the actual day to come out with deals, so we'll be streaming then, and also Cyber Monday, okay? There are tons of great deals out there, and I will go over them, but right now I just want to just celebrate what you guys have helped me do here. Now, when I started this, it was really just because I found it really easy to get a GPU when everyone else was having a really hard time getting a GPU for their DIY stuff. And I found it easy to do it because I bought a pre-built and then used those parts to build a custom PC. And I was like, I should tell other people about this. And then when I was looking through some of these sites, I found out how to sort of determine what they had in their inventory based on what their configurator said for lead times. And then going from there, I started to sort of complain about some of the things that they were doing. I had some thoughts, and I thought to myself, you know, there's a lot of people out there who are buying, the people who are buying pre-builts don't really have the benefit of knowledge from a DIY enthusiast. Why don't I provide that? And here we are. Those of you who ended up buying a PC and still come back to watch and still like the videos and still comment, Y'all mean the world to me. And I do have some really cool content coming up that'll make it worth it for y'all sticking around, because you already bought your PC, but you know, there is more to do after that. That is very, very exciting, and I do want to kind of announce that here. That new series coming up, which I'm going to be I'm working on the graphics for it right now, and reaching out to some manufacturers for it. But that new series coming out is going to be called, and some of y'all have already heard this, Pre-Built, Rebuilt. And we're going to start from the very, very basics and make just quick videos showing you how to do things, starting from just upgrading your storage, swapping out a GPU, things like that, remounting a fan, those kinds of things. And each one's gonna be a short individual video, moving all the way up to doing things like CPU swaps, cooler swaps, things like that. And it's gonna be, I hope, very helpful for you guys. When I did start all this stuff, I had no idea that it would actually be something where I would be able to make a comment on an SI's configurator and then they would go change it. That's happened many times at this point. I've been asked by certain SIs to consult with them on their new configurator they're coming out with. What do you think? How should we change it? Any suggestions you have? And that's really cool because it just helps you guys out. That's, you know, I look at configurators for a living now. That's what I do. There have been a few times where it's made a bigger impact, and that's been kind of amazing to see. And if you caught the last episode of SI Weekly, then you know that I wasn't the main component in this happening or anything, but you know that LYTE Technologies did shut down, and I had been calling that for a while now because it was poorly managed. It was the leadership over there did not take care of what they needed to take care of. They had bad priorities. They were just dumping their money into the wrong stuff, including fancy cars apparently. I have heard from several employees there, and I'm not, of course, that's all confidential. It's a bad story. It's a sad story. I'm not happy that it happened because it meant a bunch of good people lost their jobs, including people who moved from Chicago down to Texas and then got fired. They relocated their entire lives and got fired. And LYTE had improved their warranty, and now that's gone. Except it is there, not through LYTE. Apparently when Zach, the CEO of Meta PCs, saw the video, he went into action immediately. And he told me himself it was a catalyst for them making this decision. They had heard rumblings of what was going on over there, but they didn't know how bad the situation was at LYTE. And the video that I made about it caused them to put out an announcement saying that they would be taking on any remaining warranties from LYTE. So if you're a LYTE customer and you have remaining warranty, you're good. They're going to cover your warranty. If there's problems with your PC, get in contact with Meta PCs. And not only that, even if you don't have warranty with LYTE anymore, which, I mean, no one does, but if yours was already up, if your warranty was already gone, you can still have, and you will continue to have, free tech support for life from Meta PCs. I'm not going to take credit for someone else's good deed. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just really, really happy that somebody heard. I mentioned in my quote tweet, quoting what where they posted it on Twitter. I mentioned that I was going to be putting my feelers out to different SIs to see if any of them would take it on. Before I could even ask, they did it. Nobody asked them to do this, and it is going to be a cost to them. It's going to be lost money. Public opinion is great. That's awesome. It's a big boost to their public opinion, but it's well earned in this regard. So I'm very, very happy with this, and I immediately regretted not working with Meta PCs earlier. It's hard to know the motivations and morals of someone until you've seen something like this. Had I known, I would have been kicking down the door over there being like, let me review your PCs, let's get a coupon code, join Operation Code Breathorn, let's go. So I did tell him, I was like, we need to do a review. I need to get you guys more on the channel because this is amazing. If this is the way you treat other companies' customers, you must be treating your own customers very well. So I'm probably gonna do, as things develop with this, I'm probably gonna be doing a separate video for this. Just get, keeping you guys up to date on it. If there's any changes, keep an eye out for that. But huge, huge shout out to Zach and the team over at Meta PCs. I have met a few of you guys before, and it was a pleasure meeting you guys at TwitchCon last year. It was awesome. So I have asked Zach to set up a code Breathorn over there for discounts. And during the streams, we're going to check out their Black Friday deals. And I believe it might stack. Any discount might stack with their Black Friday deals. I'll have to ask him about that. But yeah, shout out to you guys. Guys, give props to them if you can. Wherever you can, at them on Twitter, comment in the comments below, let them know. But yeah, I really just wanted to cover that really quick. Also, quick note to you guys, there is a review video coming out this week on the Skytech Prism 3. There is a Black Friday special on that. It is $29.99 with just insane specs, okay? 7950X 3D and a 4080 and the whole 9 yards, 2 terabyte storage, 32 gigs of RAM, all that good stuff, $29.99. That's going on right now. Of course, if you use code SWARM, SWARM, you can actually get an additional discount over that, by the way. That review is coming out in a couple days, so keep an eye out for that. All right, now, to get to the thing that you guys all clicked on this video for. The experience over it that I had at LTX was amazing, and I was very sad to see when all the stuff was going on afterwards, because like I had posted my tour video and I was pretty sure things kind of slowed down for a lot of content. Maybe people were looking for content, but also I just didn't want to have my name in the mix when it came to that until everything settled down. And by then, it sort of became awkward to post anything. I was busy with other things that are all just sort of piled on. So that's why I hadn't posted them before, but I wasn't about to just never post them, and it just made so much sense to have them be the whole core of the 100th episode. So the interviews that we have here, and I'm not saving like, Jay for last or anything. We got JayzTwoCents, we're starting off with Paul from Paul's Hardware, Danny, the nerd on a budget, one of my favorite dudes ever. We have Addy, EposVox, usually covers stream stuff, but also he has done PC builds and he does a lot of DIY things. One of my favorite content creators of all time right there. We have Mark Scattervolt, who is also a super awesome dude, does a ton of DIY stuff. And then we have Pedro, who is the head of one of the largest communities for PCs in the world, PCMR. PC Master Race, the head of that, founder of it. What might he have to say about pre-builds? And then, to finish it all off, and this is a long video, by the way, we have the fantastic Dr. Ian Cutress. And Dr. Ian Cutress is a surprising one probably for some of you guys, if you know who he is. Every dive he does is a deep dive. He's very, very much into the meat and bones of silicon, okay? But he had some interesting things to say about pre-builds. He really did. But we also covered some other stuff, industry stuff, and there's a lot of things that we talked about in there that you might find really interesting when it comes to the future of PC tech, where things are going. All of these talks were great. So before each one, I'll give you a little blurb just to let you know about who that person is. So this is fun. This is gonna be fun. Let's do this. All right. So, of course, starting it off, just one of the coolest dudes ever, JayzTwoCents. I actually got to spend a good amount of time talking with Jay prior to the interview, and he was so gracious. We had the sort of content creators green room kind of area. We had like a whole area just for us to chill out, tables, chairs, things like that, refreshments. So we over at LTX 2023, and it was really cool. And there were a lot of amazing content creators there that I wish I had gotten interviews with. But it was amazing to see when Jay walked in, because everybody sort of wanted to gravitate towards him and talk to him about stuff. And because he is a titan of PC DIY. And you wouldn't know it by talking to him. He's hugely influential in the PC DIY community, and also sometimes controversial about it. He will say what he's gonna say. That inspired me very much personally, in the way that I will look at something and I will say what I think about the thing with no regret, no anxiety. I just learned from him to just speak my mind when it comes to tech, because that's our job. He's dropped massive sponsorships based on things he saw that he didn't like. He's influenced some of the tech that you know and love today. So, JayzTwoCents, the interview, I will say, I cut it off myself at the end because I didn't want to take too much of his time, but Jay, thank you because I asked you for 2 minutes, and instead it was like, meet me before opening tomorrow, and then we'll do a little longer than that. It meant a lot to me, but I didn't want to take too much of your time. After this, I got to watch him build a PC right in front of me. It was crazy because he was so fast. It was like 15 minutes. He was done. Less than that. 10 minutes, something like that. Jay, what was the time? Can you tell me? I don't remember. When I asked him, though, about pre-builds, he said something that I haven't heard anybody else say. And it was absolutely spot on. And you're going to want to hear this. So, here you go. Jay's 2 cents. Oh, because maybe he's filming in RAW.
You're a donkey!
What's up, everybody? I'm Rhetoric, and I'm here with the illustrious Jay's 2 cents.
Hey, everybody.
How are you enjoying the event so far, man?
LTX is great. For me, it's a fan appreciation expo. I mean, there's a lot of brands and stuff here, but the exciting thing about LTX is it's one place to really get to meet the audience. Often we forget we're talking to a lens and we see pixels on a screen and text.
Right.
But meeting the fans and those that support us is the best part about the show.
Yeah, and honestly, it feels like the crew here wasn't quite sure how big it was going to be, but it's packed here.
Oh, it's packed. Yeah, I think they had a pretty good idea of what to expect. But like anything else, they even told me that it exceeded their expectations at the last couple weeks worth of ticket sales.
Right.
But no, I think everyone I've talked to so far has had a great time. I ask people all the time what's their favorite part of the show, and everyone's had something different to say, so that's a little something for everybody.
Absolutely.
Like my daughter's here. It's her first time ever going to any sort of an expo like this. She personally told me she likes it more than VidCon, and we went to VidCon last year.
Oh, wow.
So when I told the planning team that, they were just, yes!
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. And really wholesome, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, of course, we're here in the PC build workshop that
Right.
they have set up here, and you're.
They might finally teach me how to build a computer here.
Oh yeah, or at least in a day.
Yeah.
In a shorter amount of time.
You mean they don't have a year set aside for this?
Look, as another content creator, I know stuff takes a while.
Yeah.
It's a long process. But speaking of PC building, I mean, you're obviously one of the biggest names in DIY when it comes to content and all that. How do you feel about the pre-built side of things when it comes to that?
I think pre-builts are a very important part of the industry. I've said this a million times in my videos that although I very much advocate for build your own, that a lot of people are not comfortable with the risk that could be involved with putting together a computer for the first time. But it's a good pre-built and SIs are a perfect gateway to bring someone into the space, if you will. And through our videos, just because they bought their computer pre-built doesn't mean they can't upgrade them, that they can't have more life out of them or even learn how to fix or repair them. I think what people want with a pre-built is they know it's going to work out of the box, theoretically. It's going to work out of the box, and they have a support team behind them. But that support runs out eventually.
Right.
So they have to be equipped with how to work on them themselves. But my audience oftentimes is like, pre-builts are terrible, and I do not agree with that statement. Or any portion of that statement at all.
I mean, there are some that are, just like anything. There are good and bad ones.
It's like automotive industry. There's a million different car manufacturers out there. No matter which brand you say you like, someone's going to give you a reason why they don't.
Right.
So I feel like as long as you do your diligence, you do your research, and you are happy with the product that you've bought, then be happy with it.
Yeah, to me, statistically speaking, most people who are DIY enthusiasts now started with a pre-built.
Yeah.
They started with a family computer, something like that. But when they get really into it, they sort of forget that. And for other people, they're like, well, pre-built suck, don't buy that. Did you start with a pre-built yourself?
You know, it's you kind of having thinking about my first computers. I can't remember because I've been using computers. The farthest back photo I have of me on a computer is me probably at the age of 2 sitting on my dad's lap clicking away on a keyboard, just mashing away. The keyboard probably wasn't even hooked up to anything. But no, it's because my father was a programmer.
Yeah.
We always had computers, so I can't remember where the first one came from. But I do know my first computer that was mine was a Commodore 64. Technically, that's a pre-built.
There you go.
So, but past that, when we had our Pentium systems and our 286s and 386s, those were all built. We built those.
Right.
However, I have owned SI pre-builds throughout my adult life even.
Right.
So sometimes it's honestly just more convenient,
That's the thing is that I've had people commenting, like, I've been building PCs for 10, 15 years. It's just so nice. I've got warranty. Everything's good. The support's good. So I just got it. I just bought it. Or I'm too busy.
Right.
I'm just too busy to build a PC now. And that's the thing. It is a hobby.
I think I said this to you yesterday. if I built my own computer, that is a non-SI, it's non-pre-built.
Right.
But if I take that computer in assembled state and sell it to someone else, it's now a pre-built.
It's a pre-built. Yeah.
So that would, by the standard of, oh, using a pre-built's terrible, I feel like you could apply that to build your own though and say, okay, but we're using the same components, so does that mean your computer's terrible? Now, I think the biggest argument is you can save money by building it yourself, but that's not as true as it used to be. Because the market is so much more competitive now,
right.
Oftentimes, most of these SIs, unless you're talking real premium custom water cooling and stuff, they might be charging a build fee, and they're not really marking up the parts like they used to, because we're not in the same generation we were prior to COVID, where you were seeing 20% markup on parts.
Right.
We're now seeing build fees, and with parts being readily available and SIs knowing anyone can go buy this stuff at cheaper cost, it's gotten more competitive, which is good for consumerism because of the fact that the prices have come down.
Right. Yeah, and it's honestly, the funny thing is I feel like a lot of SIs, because I deal with them directly now, they sort of are in a bubble, their own bubble. Some of them actually don't really watch other SIs to sort of be more competitive.
Yeah.
And now they are, because they're being very actively compared. But I think also with standards rising, like standards for the size of storage, because games are getting huge. Whenever I'm doing, SI Weekly, and I'm going through and I see one that's like, this comes with a 512.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
I don't believe any computer today should come with less than a terabyte.
Exactly.
And even then, if I see a terabyte, I need to add at least another one.
Right.
With 2 terabyte drives being as cheap as they are now, and if an SI is buying them in bulk, there's no reason to charge what they are. But that's unfortunately the negative side of a lot of the pre-built industry, is the fact that they've got to try and make their money somewhere.
Right.
And where they're making money there, if they're trying to charge you another $400 for an extra terabyte, they're really making their money on that point of ignorance. And I don't mean ignorance in the sense of like, oh, you're ignorant, but in its true definition is just lack of knowing. If the customer doesn't know, then they can get away with that sort of stuff. And that's where channels like ours are trying to educate people to know what's a good deal and what's being taken advantage of.
Exactly, yeah. And honestly, I think sometimes it's hard for builders, because that's what these companies are run by, people who build PCs.
Almost every SI I've ever talked to, their lead builders or their build team are people that are enthusiasts.
Exactly. And as enthusiasts, it can be hard for us to take ourselves out of our own mindset, because a pre-built buyer may never want to open the PC.
Right.
So even for us, where we're like, well, a terabyte's pretty good, but I would just add more or put in a different drive for game storage or whatever, they never want to do that. And they shouldn't have to if they don't want to. So having it be spec'd enough out of the box is more and more important as more people are joining our hobby.
And when we review SI product too, we look for stuff like that. Okay, where did they install the M.2? Where are the additional M.2 slots? Have they obstructed them?
Right.
If it's water cooled, do we have pipes in front of there? Do we have any access?
Is it bifurcating the X16?
Right.
Because some motherboards, you put it in there, bam, X8.
Right.
Yeah. And that takes a lot of looking. You have to look at the PCIe layout, see if it's going to do that.
And not all motherboards are the same there.
Exactly. Well, hey, you know what? I don't want to take too much of your time, but I think we've hit on everything the minimum I want to talk about. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you for having me. I think if I had any last message out there for the audience, I personally don't care if it's a pre-built or you built it yourself or you bought it at a garage sale. Get more people in PC gaming learning the joys of just building a computer, working on it, playing your games. I don't care how you got your PC, just be a part of it.
Absolutely. There you go, guys. JayzTwoCents, everybody. And be sure to subscribe to his channel, check it out. You probably already are, or already have, so just like me.
If not, we'd love to have you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Jay. And guys, stay tuned for more. Paul's Hardware. Okay, so Paul, I've been catching his stuff since he was over at like Newegg and doing Newegg content, and I wouldn't watch a ton of that stuff, but when he started his own channel, I was a lot more into it. It was his own thing, he was doing his own thing. His sort of mood and vibe is just, it's singular. There's no one else like Paul when it comes to his delivery, how he approaches things, and his outlook. And if you go back and look at the very first episode of System Integrators Weekly, it was like nearly a direct copy of his tone and vibe when it comes to his earlier tech news stuff. So I even used the same, for a long time, the same stock Adobe news intro thing. For a long time I used that. And he changed his, I changed mine, yada yada, but I'd never spoken to him before this. And unlike with Jay, I didn't really get any time to talk to him before I approached him, said hi, and said, can we do a quick interview? So I was nervous in this one. And there was one part where I actually started rambling. I actually cut that part out because it was just, but he was so cool, so gracious. And also, Paul has a very important message for you guys that I think you need to hear. So, Paul, thank you for taking the time to chat with me. I hope we get to chat again. And I don't know, maybe I'll see you at CES. I hope so. If so, let's grab let's grab a bite or something, man. Let's hang out. But either way, anyways, Paul of Paul's Hardware. Here you go.
Let's go, nerds.
What's up, everybody? Braithorn here, and I'm here with Paul of Paul's Hardware.
Hi, guys.
How are you doing? How are you enjoying yourself out here?
I'm doing great. I love LTX. I mean, this is my second time. I came in 2019. I love the vibe here. I love the community that's here. I go to a lot of like trade shows. Well, not a lot, but I go to mostly trade shows. So coming to one where there's like people versus just like I mean, not that the manufacturer reps aren't people, but anyway, I've been really enjoying it so far.
It's honestly been really crazy just seeing so many people that I've watched for like years, this guy included, and then just being like, hi. And then they're like, hi. What's up? Yeah. So as I mentioned to you earlier, I in particular cover pre-builts, and you know, I get some very enthusiastic commenters, and enthusiasm inherently is not inherently a bad thing, right? Saying things like all pre-builts are bad and literally everyone should build their own PCs. How do you feel about those sentiments?
So we had a brief pre-discussion, and the thought that came to my mind was Macintosh computers, right? And I'll explain that. People come up to me all the time and they're like, Paul, here's a Mac. I'm sorry, here's a Mac, you must hate it. And I'm like, no, I don't hate a Mac, because my opinion, there's stuff I do because I like it. If you use hardware, PC hardware, whether it's a Mac, a pre-built, something you built yourself, if it gets the job done for you and you're happy with it, and ideally you haven't been ripped off or paid some exorbitant amount for it, then use it. And like, so that's my opinion, and maybe I don't state that directly often enough, but I think technology should be used, all of it, if it's functional. So I have no problem with people buying a pre-built. I have no problem with people using a Mac, because not everyone does PC gaming. But for the pre-built thing, I'd say the one reason that maybe we get some pushback sometime and some flack is because pre-built sometimes have a reputation for they'll have a couple highlight components that are like good on paper, and then the extra stuff in there, often power supply, can be not quite as high quality. That's the type of thing I would try to steer people away from and avoid. But a lot of pre-built system integrators now, they'll tell you exactly the parts list that they're going to use, and a lot of them aren't going with like the budget, most cut rate, like power supplies or cases or whatever that they can.
So would you say then that it would be a very good thing for there to be a channel that helps people who want pre-builts discern which ones are more clear about that, which one might be right for them? If there was a channel that focused on helping people find those, that'd be a good thing, right?
That would be a good thing. Someone should do that.
Someone definitely should do that. Yeah.
Like that.
And maybe they should, have a big fat purple bee as their mascot.
That is a good mascot.
His name is RGB, by the way.
I like that. That's brilliant. And like I said, use hardware that works for you, and as long as it's not a fire hazard, then go for it. But because there are lots of system integrators, and I know there are some really good ones, and there are also some that maybe aren't quite as good. So that's why you should watch Bray's channel, so you know which ones to go for and which ones not to go for.
Oh my gosh, that's quite the endorsement. As a last thing, we both started with a pre-built, didn't we?
Yes. Mine was an HP that I bought with my dad when I was 14. I guess my dad bought it when I was 14. Little beige box, one of the flat ones that you put the CRT monitor on top of. I know I'm super old. And I upgraded the memory in that, and that set me off. That was literally the starting point for me getting into PC hardware. I was like, I did that. That wasn't too tough. Maybe I can actually put my whole system together. And back then, you could save a lot of money doing it that way.
Right, and that fluctuates, right? At different points, it's cheaper to build it yourself. And then, say, during the shortages, it was cheaper to get it pre-built, and also possible, which was a big perk. Yeah, so honestly, don't let that really be the determining factor, is what I think. If you save a few $100, great, but also warranties are good for those just getting into it, and tech support and guaranteed compatibility and all that. So it really is an individual decision, and maybe certain people shouldn't just decide what's right for everybody.
I agree. People make choices and they get invested in those choices.
True.
And it's a natural human reaction to look at someone else who made a different choice and be like, they must be wrong. But you made the choice for yourself. They probably made the choice for themselves. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It means you chose what's right for you, and they hopefully chose what was right for them.
Right.
As long as they watched Bray's channel and got the good word on that. Yeah.
Now I'll stop smiling eventually. Can't guarantee when, but that'll happen eventually. Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. I wish it was longer.
I agree. They should make LTX at least a week long next year.
Linus, that was directed at you. All right, take care.
Thanks, man.
Okay, thanks again, Paul. Appreciate you, dude. Now, nerd on a budget, Danny. Danny actually at PAX West last year approached me and said, Brayathorn, dude, I've seen your content, seen your stuff. And it was like, oh, hey, what's up, man? That's awesome. Yeah, and I had heard of him too, of course. He was like, what? Well over 200K subscribers. He's an amazing content creator. And he focuses on exactly what the name suggests, being a nerd on a budget. There's other stuff too that he does, and I really want you guys to check out his channel, because especially his LAN content, because he'll get his friends together and he'll arrange LANs, and it just takes me back to the old days of just lugging my computer and monitor and keyboard and just all my stuff over to my buddy's house, and we'd have like 5-6 of us just get together for a quick, for a LAN party, play Quake, whatever, Counter-Strike, or going to the local. There was a place where I grew up called Digital Underground, where it was like all CS 1.6, everyone playing Counter-Strike, a bunch of computers. It was amazing, man. And it just takes me back to that feeling. Watching his content, seeing the chaos, it's just really, really cool. But also, I mean, I've been on his stream before, and this is our first time with me really just interviewing him. But you can kind of tell that he and I have a really good rapport. So yeah, there you go. My friend Danny, the nerd on a budget. Danny, thanks, brother. I appreciate you taking your time to talk to me. We found a really cool spot for this interview too. Check out the setting for this. All right, nerd on a budget, everybody.
Let's go, nerds.
What's up, buddy? Brayathorn here, and I'm here with the illustrious nerd on a budget. How's it going, dude?
It's going good. Great to see you again. We saw each other at PAX 2022, and now here we are again.
Absolutely. And man, isn't this different? The vibe is so different.
PC enthusiasts specifically, because PAX is a bunch of gamers, but not everyone is like really into the PC. So this is really awesome.
Right. And honestly, the amount of creators here, how it's just so concentrated with people I love to watch.
Yes. Yeah. So like for us as creators coming here, it's really awesome to see all of our other friends that, we don't get to meet up with all that often. So yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And to the word out to the, the LTT crew out there, they've been so friendly, so accommodating. Thank you guys for that. It's a little empty in here though, I noticed.
Yeah, where did everyone go?
So much space for activities. Now this is, they actually were like, hey, there's a whole open empty area over there where it's quiet. So here we are.
Yeah.
But no, next year, guys, all of this, you need to use it.
Use the space.
And 3-4 days, I think, would be good.
At least 3. Get that Friday in, man.
Yeah,
that Friday is nice.
Yeah, we gotta get down on Friday. Anyways, okay, so my content.
I know your content.
I focus on pre-builds. Mm-hmm. You do some pre-built content.
I do some pre-builds. Yeah, I have no problem with pre-builds.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny because I think that while it used to be a vocalized thing, I think that people are just assuming now that anyone who just focuses on DIY hates pre-builds.
Yeah, kind of. But yeah. I think people like you and then myself too are trying to help spread that message of like pre-builds. I mean, they got to compete with the DIY stuff, right? So they're like cracking down, trying to do the best they can to improve what they can offer to be competitive. So, I mean, there's some good stuff out there that's pre-builds.
There really is. And honestly, I don't recall if I already asked you this, but did you start with a pre-built as your very first PC?
Oh, of course. I mean, my very first PC, how old was I? Maybe like 5 or 6, family computer, of course.
Right.
There's no way I was building that thing, and my parents don't know much about PC. So yeah, it was definitely like a pre-built system.
Right.
And all the way up until like in my like early 20s when I could afford my own thing and get away from the family PC, then that's when I first built my own. But it was definitely a gateway. Like, I loved PC gaming long before I could even build my own.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this for a while, and this messaging thankfully is kind of going away. But there used to be this big thing about like, well, you're not a true gamer if you don't build your own PC.
Yeah.
Which of course
I see that from time to time.
Yeah, and it's two separate hobbies.
Yeah.
They're not. You can game and not have. Did you build your PlayStation? No. And but you still have professional gamers for console.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try telling esports pros that they're better gamers than you, and they get their PCs given to them. So it's really outdated.
Exactly. Well, one of the things that I like to talk about too is like, okay, so you drive a car. Do you work on your own car?
Yeah.
Do you fit, if something in the engine fails, do you do, oil changes are kind of easy, but yeah, do you do everything on that? Or the plumbing breaks down in your house. Do you fix all your own plumbing? Some people out there are going to be like, yeah, I fix all my stuff. I'm a manly man. I do everything.
But good for you.
But yeah, good for you then. But there are people who just would rather hire a professional to do it and then maybe, learn to do it later along the way. So yeah.
Even just cooking your own meals.
Yeah.
Of course, all of those things are cheaper, but you don't do all of those things. And when I get the comment where it's like, did you know it's cheaper to build your own PC? Oh my God. And besides, that's not always true. Prices fluctuate, the market fluctuates. Look at something like the shortages, the pandemic, things like that. It is not, you're just saying something that is bound to be false at some point. So anyway, what would you say would be a good recommendation for someone who is on the fence?
Okay.
How do you think they should approach it if they're on the fence? Like, I don't know if I want to build, or I don't know if I want to buy it for myself. It's hard to generalize because everybody's different. But what would you say to that person?
Everyone has different budgets and different needs with regards to how powerful the PC is, right? So if they're trying to get into it and they are very like hesitant because they're afraid they might destroy components in the process or something like that, I think my perfect number for a starter system is like $1,000. If you can put in $1,000 to your PC, you can get something super solid. But CPUs carry the system for such a long way. So if you get a $1,000 pre-built system, you can later upgrade the CPU, the graphics card, add more storage, add more memory. It is like the foundation for you to get further into the hobby, into building more. So yeah.
Right, and of course, doing your research. If you plan, because there's plenty of people who will get a pre-built and never plan on opening it, upgrading it, whatever. Those people just need to make sure that they have all the storage they need and all the features that they need, right? And that's, of course, something that we can help them with, right?
Exactly.
But if you do want to have this be your gateway to upgrading, make sure you have a path to do that. So if you get something that's like a dead platform because it's a better deal, maybe it's better to get something that has less performance but is on a newer platform so you have room to upgrade.
Yeah.
And those are just the kind of things that you want to think about before spending all that hard-earned money.
Exactly. And a lot of people, they're always hesitant, but I mean, you stream, I stream during our streams. We're open to saying, hey, if you guys need help, us helping you is content. So feel free to hit us up during the live streams and stuff.
I haven't streamed for like 7 months.
My goodness.
Because I don't have AC in the new garage studio yet. Filming is fine, I can take breaks, but streaming, I'm sorry guys.
Me calling him out, hopefully that gets him to break that long streak and start streaming again.
It'll come back, all right? And also I'm gonna join you on one of your streams.
Yes, so I do need to have you on soon.
Yeah.
Soon after this event, so.
All right, it'll happen, okay guys, don't worry. I'll be helping y'all one-on-one again in the future. Because that was so much fun. It really was. Yeah. But speaking of so much fun, it's been great fun talking to you, dude. Thank you for agreeing with me. That's my favorite thing that people do.
Thanks for the opportunity to be on some of your content. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely, man. We'll do that more. But stay tuned for more, guys. And thank you so much, man. Hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
All right, you too.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Thanks again, Danny. And now, the next one. The EposVox. What to say about Addy? If you could take my preferred aesthetic for things, my musical tastes, and like it is embodied in this person because Addy just he goes for retro. He's posting videos in 4:3. He had an old camcorder that he was recording everything with at LTX. He creates glitch art, things like that. But the main line of his content is streaming. So if you are looking for help with getting started with streaming all the way to even, of course, very advanced streaming stuff, if you're like, oh, I'm on Twitch, I want to multi-stream, he's got a great guide on that. And he has a full course for OBS. If you want to really learn OBS, you must take a look at this. You guys have to check out Backing Track. I use Backing Track all the time for my montages. A lot of my montages you guys have heard have used backing track audio, songs for it. So, but just check out this interview because, you know, he was just really chill, and he of course has done DIY PC projects, many of them actually, and a lot of the things he does are DIY. Also, his mic reviews are excellent, right up there with podcastage for me. So anyway, EposVox, everyone.
What's up, guys? Rhetoric here, and I'm here with Mr. EposVox. You do a lot of stuff DIY. I mean, that's definitely something you do a lot, right?
Absolutely. Pretty much anything I can within reason.
How many PCs would you say you've built?
Dozens at this point. I've broken just as many, but you know.
Well, that's part of the fun.
Yeah, sometimes.
So let me ask you this: did you start with DIY, or your first PC, was it a pre-built?
Oh yeah, this would have been, you know, it was an E-machines probably. Yeah.
That's a classic right there.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me ask you this other question. Do you feel like it was just the right gateway to DIY, to upgrading, to modding, then eventually building it yourself?
I do and I don't. My first experience trying to DIY was I was trying to figure out how to, like I'd gotten some old computers from family. I was trying to figure out how I could combine them. But someone else had been asking about ESD straps. I took apart all of these computers on my carpet floor.
Oh God.
And then tried to put them back together. And it took a very long time to actually get something put back together that functioned. But then from there, it's like I understood how to build computers from then on and didn't really need much else.
Right, the whole grown-up Legos thing comes to mind.
Yeah.
Square peg, square hole, all of that, it's all pretty, yeah. EA ATX standards,
Yeah.
right? So as someone who covers pre-builts a lot, I do get those comments like, all pre-builts suck. Literally everyone should build their own PCs. What do you feel about that?
No, that's not. I don't even build all the PCs that I have. Like, I've built a lot and I will constantly take them apart and build them, but like, I have at least like 2 in production right now that were pre-builts that I got from places that, honestly, as much as it pains me to admit it, and people will be like, you don't know what you're doing, even though I've been doing this for like 20 years, there are plenty of times when I will get a pre-built that is quieter than anything I've ever built myself. And there's something about like, it also has to do with the timing. Like, I don't get the time to sit there and like fine tune every individual aspect. I just need to build something that works. Whereas a pre-built is tuned to be silent. Sometimes if I'm doing something on camera, like that's what I want. But I mean, pre-builts, especially if you're doing any sort of work with your computer or you don't have a lot of time, like get what works for you. And I've committed the ultimate sin, so I will just, you know, describe it here since I've already made a video on it. But my main computer right now is a Mac Studio.
I knew where you were going with that.
Coming from multiple Threadripper built workstations. Like, I use what works, and that's, if you're, as long as you're doing the thing and you're having fun. Like, I don't understand elitism about we're all using computers and playing video games and rendering pixels. Like, does it matter?
Yeah, and that was a bit of, I did watch that piece, but I totally get the it just works mentality, because what an appealing combination of 3 words. It's, of course, that's what we need. It's our livelihood.
Yeah.
I've thought about it myself a couple times. What I was wondering, what do you think about the new Epic lineup of processors, where you can get like a 16-core processor with about 3 million PCIe lanes?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Where do you think a good application for that would be? Like, mass storage, that kind of thing?
Yeah, storage. I mean, capture rigs. Like, that's the main reason I got into Threadripper, was Intel didn't have enough PCIe lanes, and I need capture cards and PCIe RAID and all of these things that just, you can fit one of those things in a consumer system, but you can't fit a bunch of them without a huge amount of issues. And I've hit the PCIe bottleneck on Threadripper Pro, which is like, I don't even remember how many lanes at this point. It's a lot.
Wow.
So I think those are the applications. But I mean, people always ask the questions, like the earlier with 2nd gen Threadripper, they had like 16 core processors, and people are like, but that's not enough threads. But it's the 8-channel memory or higher, the extra expansion, and people who'd want like 100 gig networking or something, like, you need the lanes for it. So it's for those applications where, yeah, a normal Ryzen would do you fine performance-wise, but you need all the extra throughput.
Right, and I do appreciate that AMD is doing things like, hey, this consumer desktop processor, 24 lanes, here you go.
Yep.
And Intel's still on 16. What would you say to Intel about that?
Please catch up, please.
There you go, Intel, from the man himself. Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
All right, Addy, thanks again, my friend. I appreciate that. By the way, I wanted to tell you that when you asked me for your video, what's an old retro tech that you want to see come back, and I just said something that came to mind that wasn't something that no one uses anymore. I don't remember what it was. But what I should have said was mini disc. Mini disc was awesome. And I was very into it, like back when it came out, when I was like in high school. So yeah, mini disc was my thing. So next we have Mark Scattervolt. Mark actually approached me at CES last year. Oh, this year. I guess it's in January, so it's confusing. But he approached me at CES this year. He was just like, dude, I watch your stuff, I follow your stuff, I like what you're doing, I appreciate what you're doing, the content you're making. And I was just like, I like what you do, I like your stuff. And that kind of thing has happened a few times with other content creators. It's genuinely gratifying when that happens. It's like content creation can feel very lonely. Anytime I get to hang out with other content creators and sort of get that sort of feeling of community, it's deeply gratifying. And Mark definitely brought that whenever he first met me. He knew who I was and he knew what I was doing, and it meant a lot to me. So of course he does a ton of DIY stuff, but he has covered some pre-built things as well. So I wanted to get his take on it, and it was a good take. So here you go, Scattervolt.
Let's go, nerds.
So everybody, Brave Thorn here with Mark, or Scattervolt, as you may know him. How you doing? How are you enjoying the event? You liking it?
Tired. I like it, but I'm tired.
I am losing my voice. I'm exhausted. This is what happens when you try to fit 3-4 days worth of activities into a 2-day event, and I'm going to complain about that in every little interview.
It's not that bad. I mean, I think 2 days is perfect for an event like this. It's got just enough, not too little, not too much, and 2 days, just about all you need. 3 days would be too long, 1 day way too short. So I think it's good. Maybe you've had quite a bit of a trip here.
Yeah.
I've been pretty okay. Just once again, traveling here, doing other things beforehand, a little tired, but all the energy, the electricity I'm getting from PC hardware and enthusiastic PC gamers is what's been keeping me up so far.
100%. What's been your favorite part, favorite aspect of the whole thing?
Ooh. I guess how enthusiastic everyone is about their rigs. Because I've asked, like, what kind of rig are you bringing to, or not bringing, what kind of rig do you have? And people are like saying right off the bat, like 3090 Ti, 5900X. And I'm like, goodness gracious. But they can list all the specifications off like that, just like a YouTube video. Just like what we do, you know?
Like maybe they should have our jobs. Maybe they should take our job.
They could. And you're like, okay, great. There's those people where I say, like, you know, your local community, you ask them what kind of computer they have, and they can't answer what, like, you know, processor or RAM they have. So that's what I found super cool is the people here, they know everything about PC hardware. Of course, it's an LTX Expo. They should.
Yeah, they're like I think I got a AMD Ryzen 13600K RTX.
My favorite is when some guy said, like, some guy said he had a Ryzen 9 7600X or an RTX 570, and I'm like, that's not even out yet.
You know, we have to remember so many numbers and letters that, and it's our job. How can we expect someone who's a consumer just buying stuff to remember all that stuff? You know, it's a lot of pressure we put on them when we ask, what do you got? What do you got? Tell us, 3, 2. But anyway, I have to, you know what I cover pre-built stuff, and I got to ask you, I mean, you have done some pre-built content, you do a lot of DIY content, so how do you feel overall about sort of the pre-built versus DIY debate?
Right. So, Preamble, I am the guy who will always tell people in my videos, and this is what I do for a living, this is how I get views, to always go custom, right? I make a living off of that. I help people out to make their builds possible because I will always advocate for that. And the only thing you're losing out beginning a pre-built is just your wallet by like $200 at minimum, really. But the actual PC itself, all the parts are DIY. And I mean, I'd say most pre-builts, if they look like a custom computer, it's fine. I'd say where they get that bad rep is, say, like those that have proprietary pre-builts. Like maybe those from HP where they have a custom chassis that only works with a certain motherboard, a certain power supply.
HP, Dell, Lenovo, the OEMs.
Yes, it's a one and done pre-built. Those are the bad pre-builts.
So basically, as I've always said, it's really up to you who is spending your hard-earned money dollars. And if you decide that, you know what, I want to start with a pre-built, that's fine, because I started with a pre-built when I first got a computer. What about you?
Custom.
Well, okay. And that was right. Like, you felt confident enough to do that. I started with the family PC that I started upgrading. You know, that's just where I was at.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of people, and if you've watched any of these videos, you've heard probably some very surprising words from some of your favorite DIY creators saying like, yeah, I started with a pre-built. It was a family PC. You know, Paul, Jay, both of those guys. It's crazy to think about that so many people statistically started that way and then turn around and be like, well, you can't do what I did. You got to do what I do now. But regardless of that, how do you feel about those gatekeeping kind of comments where you got people come in and say all pre-built suck and literally everyone should build their own PCs?
I want to say there may be some irony to those people, because I'm willing to bet they probably have like one of those crappy proprietary pre-builts, and they're preaching the word like they all suck because their HP Victus they got for like, I don't know, $300 brand new with like a crappy 1060 or whatever, 3060, 60 series GPU. It's just so terrible. They're like, oh my God, everything is bad now. And they label all pre-builts as bad, but not all of them are. A lot of them are good.
Right. A lot, and that's the majority are good. And thankfully, there's a channel out there where you got a guy, some bald dude, kind of weird looking, will help you sift through all those options out there and find the ones that are probably a better option for you. But, you know, with it being such a huge part of the market, pre-builts make up like 75% of hardware sales, varying from year to year. I mean, I'm honestly glad that there are DIY guys like you out there that also cover pre-builts, and you know that's always good to see. Yeah. It's good to enthusiastically share our interests and be like, yeah, building is fun, and if you want to do it, you should. But you know, covering all your bases and helping everybody out is always an awesome thing to do. So I appreciate you that you do that.
As long as you're a PC gamer, you're a PC gamer. Whatever means you need to get there, do it.
And there you have it from the man himself. Mark, thank you so much, dude. I appreciate you, and enjoy the rest of the event here.
Of course, thank you.
Awesome.
This is one y'all might have been waiting for here, or not waiting, maybe you skipped to this. Even if you're brand new to PCs, you've heard of PCMR. You've heard of PC Master Race, you've heard the terminology, you've maybe seen the Reddit, the subreddit and everything, and how massive that is. Millions of people in this community. And I met Pedro at this year's CES, and he was very gracious and you know, very willing to talk and take time to talk and everything, but he was also very busy. He was being, sort of taken around from one place to another. Everyone in the PC industry wants to talk to Pedro, get his take on things. And then he just came out, along with Lee, with the 011 Vision. So I want to say one thing, congrats, Pedro and the whole PCMR community on this achievement, because it's an amazing, beautiful case. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I appreciate that it was pretty, it's been, you guys say like this is more aesthetic than performance. So like, just keep that in mind and spec it properly. So the messaging has been clear and everything, and I appreciate that. And it's absolutely gorgeous the way that was carried off. So I appreciate you guys, and I like what you're doing. I want to see more collaborations with you and other companies. Just, sort of bring your input, because it clearly was some good input. That's a gorgeous, gorgeous enclosure. And I want one. What would someone like this have to say about pre-builts? Take a listen.
Let's go, nerds.
What's up, Swarm? Rhetoric here with the Pedro of PCMR, PC Master Race. How are you doing, buddy? How are you liking the event?
Oh, it's so awesome, man. Being here again after 4 years, seeing everyone. Just so wholesome, it's so fun, hanging around everyone, seeing all of this vibe. It's amazing.
It really is. And honestly, it's great to see you again, because it's like, you're just so friendly. We met at CES. I remember I was trying to give you were like, there's a height PCMR pin. And I was like, you don't have one? I'll give you mine. And, it's good to see you again, man. But what's been your favorite part about this whole thing so far?
I mean, apart from meeting everyone, I'm really liking this ASUS booth. A lot of cool stuff here. I'm loving the Evangelion stuff, so that's really cool. I'm loving all of these LTT integrated activities and stuff. So just tossing a case, seeing how long you can toss a case. It's so fun.
How do you feel about having PCMR merch in the LTT store?
It's an honor. I mean, it's seeing LTT. I mean, it's LTT is like a big planet in the community. A lot of people revolving around it. It's
I feel
kind
that.
of like a guideline for everyone. I mean, they're so strong. They're so known. They're probably the only creators in the community that really go overboard to other communities, you know, like everyone knows who LTT is. So it's like a confidence. It's being able to partnership with them. It's their first outside partnership too, so that means a lot. And I'm sure it will open the door for a lot of creators to get into this space, to be able to share with their community a lot of cool stuff, a lot of quality stuff. That would be really cool to see.
I really do like. I mean, honestly, I like going for merch from creators as a way to support them, especially when they're making things. You know, like Gamers Nexus has some of their screwdrivers and their mod mats and things like that. The glass, and then for LTT, they've got now the screwdriver, the backpack, and all that. It's just really cool to see that, because it's not just this, where it's just a shirt with a picture. Sorry, that's all I got. I'm not big enough yet, but it's actual things that they're making. Now, speaking of making things. I cover pre-builds. That's my focus. I help people out who are trying to get into PC gaming through pre-builds, right? How do you feel about the whole pre-built versus DIY debate?
I mean, being PCMR, we always have that idea that we should definitely try and build if you can. If it's something that you think you can do, and of course the community is super supportive. If you choose to go on that road, just to build, you can ask for help if you need it. You can watch. A lot of creators have amazing videos about building it yourself.
Oh yeah.
Like Greg Salazar and Bitwit Kyle have these amazing videos where they just go and Pulse Hardware, amazing from beginning to end. But sometimes you might not feel comfortable with it. Sometimes there might be a good deal that is just a pre-built, and in that case, it might make sense to you.
Because it's totally a computer. Yeah.
Of course it is.
Now, how did you start out? Did you start with a pre-built, or did your first computer? Did you build it yourself?
I mean, my first modern PC. So if we ignore like stuff like the ZX Spectrum in the late 80s, early 90s.
Wow, yeah.
My first modern PC was a pre-built. So we're talking 1997 maybe, around then.
Gateway with the cow print. That's what that was the family computer.
You know, it's like beige.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Microsoft keyboard that was like ergonomic, so it split into two?
I actually really liked that one.
I really did not. But that was my first keyboard, my first PC. I think it was the Celeron 266 or 233 or something in 97. And of course it was a pre-built. At the time it was particularly hard to get parts and to build it yourself. The information wasn't there. A lot of incompatibility of parts. So that didn't help. But that's how I started my road into the PCMR.
That's honestly, I love to hear that, because statistically speaking, most people start with the pre-built. I mean, especially if you're like our age, right? Like, 6 years old, Tandy 1000, and then eventually like a Gateway PC pre-built kind of thing. And then, Mom, I want to add more storage, or because I can't fit both MechWarrior and StarCraft on this PC. I need more storage. Okay. And then that's when you get bit by the bug. You're starting with something that works, right? So for those out there who are, let's say, overly enthusiastic about DIY and sort of aggressively share the idea that, all pre-built suck and everyone needs to build PCs themselves. What would you say to someone who's sort of repeatedly sharing that sentiment?
I mean, in the last at least like a year and a half or 2 years, we saw a lot of people learning that sometimes pre-builds do make sense. When we saw the rise in GPU prices and the fact that getting a pre-built was sometimes the only way to get a decently priced GPU. So I think that opened a lot of doors, and especially nowadays where hopefully most pre-builds are using standard size parts, motherboards, and PSU sizes. So sometimes it makes sense. It depends on where you are, it depends on the prices you get, and sometimes you're just not comfortable. Sometimes it depends on your age. I've known a lot of people in the community who say, I'm a minor, my parents want me to get a pre-built. They don't let me try to build it myself. And of course, you definitely should. It should be your first way into the door of maybe in the future you might want to build it yourself, upgrade your existing one. But there's nothing wrong with having a pre-built. You're just as PCMR as anyone else.
Now, exactly. Thank you. You heard it right here. As someone who is, you lead a very large community here. And does it sort of surprise you to hear that there are, because at this point, I think a lot of people are starting to get on board with the idea of like, oh no, let's encourage, right? Let's encourage everyone to get into our hobby. Does it surprise you to hear that there are some people who are still coming out with some negativity and honestly, usually incorrect information? Or is that kind of like, well, there's always going to be those types?
Sometimes it's hard to distinguish, especially online, banter from someone who's speaking seriously.
True.
It's hard. But of course, I'm going to be the first one to say it. If you want to learn about PC building, if you feel comfortable, definitely. It's easier, probably easier than you think. You should definitely consider. If you need help, the PCMR community and many other communities will be there for you. But if it's something that you're not comfortable with, nothing wrong with it. Lately, some good prices have been achieved with pre-builds, so it's a good way to start for sure. And sometimes you might just not be interested. That's another thing. Maybe you know how to build, you don't have the time. You might not. I just don't care. For some reason, maybe I have too much money to spend time with it, or I just don't want to. Period. You don't have to give explanations to anyone. You want a PC? As long as you get a PC, I'm happy.
You don't have to give an explanation to anyone. Love that. So you know what? Thank you so much for sharing that message. And just, we want everyone, we want even those who are coming with negative messages, we want to encourage you to encourage others. You're a tech savvy guy. You're probably the tech guy for everyone in your family and friends and their friends and all that. Like, hey, I got a question about computers. You can't build PCs for all of them. So it's like, hey, you know what? This company right here will take care of you. And it's good to know those kinds of things. I think that that's a good reason for even DIY enthusiasts to learn the SI industry, find some system integrators you trust, and don't go OEM because they use proprietary garbage. Sorry, that's my bias right there. Anyway, Pedro, thank you so much for sharing that positive message, my friend. I hope you enjoy the rest of the event, and I can't wait to see you at the next one.
You as well.
All right, take care, guys.
Again, many thanks to you, Pedro. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me. You're an amazing dude. I hope to see you at CES this year. So, Dr. Ian Cutress. This one here, we actually had to arrange this time separately from LTX. It was actually 2 days after LTX had ended. I stayed extra time to get this, and I actually had Adam of PC World help me out with filming this. Adam, thank you so much. Sorry it took a while to get this out there. He's always in the Full Nerd podcast, hanging out in there, chatting. You know, he's hanging out in chat. And I was just there. I was like, hey, I'm going to LTX too. You want to do an interview? And he was like, yeah. So before I even went up there, he was agreeing to do it, and we arranged to do it after everything had completed so we could take our time. So this is a longer interview than the others. But also, I just really wanted to get his take on not just pre-builts, but also this sort of the industry of silicon, you know, CPUs, you know, processing, all that stuff, where it's going. And he had some really, really interesting things to say about it. And also, he was just, I actually got to go out to dinner with him and Adam of PC World. And he's just delightful company and hilarious, absolutely hilarious dude. You know, he's got that dry Brit humor, and it works quite well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I absolutely enjoyed chatting with him. But here you go. Dr. Ian Cutress. What's up, everybody? I'm Brea Thorne, and I am here with the illustrious Dr. Ian Cutress of Tech Potato, formerly of AnandTech, and now just making waves in the industry as the most technological potato there is. Is that a self-named? Where did that come from?
So I did a live stream with Wendell from Level 1 Techs at an AMD event in LA. We were at the top floor of the hotel. It was empty. We had the Hollywood sign behind us. We did an 1.5-hour long live stream, and I was watching it back with subtitles on. And the automatic subtitling misread Ian from AnandTech and said Ian from Tech Potato.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I have a screenshot of it.
Wait, so the channel was kind of named by AI, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
By Google's machine learning auto algorithm, sure.
How fantastically appropriate is that? That's amazing. So most of you in the audience, in the swarm, are on this channel, watching this channel, because you're new to the PC landscape, to PC gaming, or maybe you're getting into content creation, and you wanted your gateway to be a pre-built. And of course, that's what my channel is for. So you may not know who Ian is, Dr. Ian. I'm very sorry.
It's fine, that's okay, fine. Doesn't matter.
Okay, good to know. And with that in mind, our content, there cannot be a wider gulf in our content, in the level of it. I'm bringing you guys in at the most basic. Ian is over here talking about the deep cuts I mean, we're talking about, of course, machine learning, AI, and, things that happen in multi-billion-dollar server rooms and server farms, and quantum computing, dual-phase submersive cooling, just the kinds of things that are like,
You've seen my last 5 videos.
I've watched plenty of your videos, to be honest, and that made me sort of take a pause and be like, how do I approach this? And I think that makes it makes it more interesting to me. So the biggest debate that I deal with is the whole pre-built versus DIY. So if you could bring yourself down to the consumer level, just purely consumer level, right? How do you feel about that and the pressure that's put on people to just dive into DIY regardless of how they feel about it?
My journey into the PC space, I mean, first of all, I had a Commodore 64 when I was 3 years old.
Tandy 1000. Tandy 1000 for me.
As you do, but in terms of proper PC as we know it, the first system I ever purchased was a pre-built from PC Specialist.
I have heard of them.
And it was absolute dog.
Okay.
It really was. It was back in the day when you literally had a budget, cut down power supply, cut down memory. You didn't know where anything was coming from, but I didn't know any better, as you do when you're in that phase. And it was actually through getting one of those and through tinkering that made me understand more about components and what individual components are, the ranges, the technical aspects, what to look for when purchasing, and so that's been sort of like 20 years in the making, to the point now where the pre-built market still has that sort of budget cut down.
Of course, that I feel will kind of always have a place in the market.
But there is now that sort of high-end ability to actually get something really, really nice. And as long as you acknowledge the fact that you're going to pay for the privilege to have it built. Right. I mean, one of the worst things I do in a PC is cable management. If I can pay somebody to do it, break it down here, the PC that I'm currently running is 7 years old.
Wow.
It's a custom built, but it was a high-end desktop because I wanted it for high performance and for all my work. But I'm still using a 10-core Intel system from 2015.
Wow, okay.
So that is my daily, and the reason why I haven't updated is because I haven't been bothered.
Right. This is something I actually say pretty often. For those who are like, I got this PC a year ago, should I upgrade? Why are you asking me? Do you feel like you need to?
Oh no, I should upgrade.
Well, you should definitely, that's plenty of time.
But based on what I do, I should upgrade. But I don't want to go through the rigmarole of dealing with a new operating system and installing new software and getting everything where I want it, where it is now.
So where are you? Windows 8.1? Is that where you are?
Oh no, so I do have Windows 10, and my laptop here is a Windows 11, so that's perfectly fine. It's just having to deal with all that is a pain. I'd much rather have somebody deal with that, and I'm also at a financial point in my life where perhaps I can go ahead and do it. The annoying thing is I'm also a hardware reviewer, so I have the hardware to build a new system.
How annoying. How annoying. I feel your pain. Honestly, I literally do. But they're of course in the industry, in the hardware industry, they excel at applying pressure to upgrade every generation because that's how they have to stay in business, and they have shareholders that they are beholden to bring in profits. There's the whole, we're used to the one side of things, and there's a whole other side of it where things really make sense, reality.
Supply chain.
All those
and
words that
supply chain, shareholders, and P&L sheets.
Yes.
And yes.
Yeah, so we're actually, as we're recording this, AMD just announced their financials for the quarter.
How are they looking?
Flat.
Flat.
But the whole industry's kind of flat. So.
Well, flat is better than red, right?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Hey, let's maintain, everybody. That's so. Dr. Cutress does pay. That's where he sort of resides, is in the very high level of things, and look. Honestly, you see a lot of things that will eventually trickle down to consumers.
Yep.
Now, one thing I really was interested in asking you about is. Recently, Der Bauer interviewed an engineer at Intel, and they said if your CPU is not at 100 degrees Celsius, you're losing performance. It's not performing right. This is such a paradigm shift from what us old dogs in the industry are used to, where it's like, oh, you hit 100? That's terrible. No, it's just like smack into 100 or 95, Zen 4, smack into 95 or 100 degrees Celsius, and then see what your cooling can do. See where your frequencies lie. So how do you feel about that direction? Are we going in the right direction doing this?
Different people want different things out of the hardware. Now, obviously, engineer at Intel wants Intel to be the most performant, so they're going to go for high performance regardless of power.
Right.
Right.
That's been the MO. Yeah.
Well, you do what you can with the manufacturing and then the architecture that you build.
Right.
As a person who is, decade on from my overclocking days, what I value now is efficiency and stability.
Right.
So maybe I don't need to go to 100 degrees. Maybe I am running that 200 watt CPU at 75 watts or 65 watts because I still get most of the performance, but I get a lot of efficiency gains out of that. So the Intel engineer is right. If all you value is raw performance and you're willing to put up with the additional requirements of cooling, a 100-degree processor.
You should be at Redline.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. These processors, even though they're warranted for 3 years, and they're spec'd to go technically up to 125, that's their boundary.
Right.
Or even though they'll have a TJ max of 105, that means that's when the processor declocks itself,
right.
But the safe zone still goes up a bit higher. And yeah, the way the industry has worked, the way CPU design has worked over the last 10, 15 years, is all about guardrails. How close can we get to the guardrail without going over? And it seems like every couple of years we're getting ever so closer. Because so back in the day, 10 years ago,
which was a Wednesday.
Which is, you would have a processor that would run at a constant voltage regardless of the frequency. But now we obviously have processors that vary the voltage based on the frequency to optimize for performance and efficiency and perhaps push into those higher bands. And it's just this intertwining of all the fun physics we can tweak, all the fun physics we can bend.
Right.
And what exactly does the customer need at the end of the day? Or what exactly is the engineer focused on at the end of the day? Different strokes for different folks.
See, to me, advancement and innovation includes efficiency. I mean, you look at the...
It does now, especially much.
Right. Say the 7950X in eco mode is startling in its performance. It's very good. And they provided that eco mode. Whereas Intel seems to have gone the other way. It can be, for those who, you can just go into your BIOS and just click,
or even in the software.
Right? And or in the software. Whereas for Intel, and I think this is a bit more on the side of motherboard manufacturers, where it can be a bit difficult to tame that thing. And we're talking about going 50, 60% above your expected wattage. I'm talking about a 13600K that was running well into the 230, 240 watts in a system I tested recently, and the ASRock motherboard did not have an easy way to tame that.
Yep.
It's all in search of the most boast-worthy performance.
So one of the things in latest Intel and to a little bit of AMD processors is that when you're pushing 5.3, 5.5, 5.7 gigahertz, your efficiency comes down, and then it kind of hits a cliff, and it's kind of how far do you want to hang off the cliff?
Right.
And that translates into how much current you need to have to power your processor,
right.
all in terms of power delivery. And this is why motherboards today are really expensive, because in order to essentially tame how far you go off the cliff,
right.
And the industry is always the one that has the highest performance gets the halo effect.
Yeah.
So regardless of how well you do at a more medium efficiency level or a more cost-effective level, I mean, most of the volume is Ryzen 5 Core i5, right?
Yeah.
So it almost kind of doesn't matter because the marketing is based on the i9. Right. It's based on the Ryzen 9.
It's the race car. It's like the racing industry, where you have that's barely a Chevy Camaro or Ford Fusion or whatever the hell they're putting out there. That's not what you get at the dealership.
Yeah.
They just slap the name on there to generate the interest and bring the people in.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm wondering. Looking at the different directions that the big names are going in. Mm-hmm. So you have Intel going all in on hybrid architecture, right? You have AMD still pushing 3D V-cache, and you have, yes, I'm bringing up Apple. Apple putting everything into their M silicon, including the GPU, memory, all of that, right? Because of the lower latency, it's done some really amazing things. Credit where credit is due. which is the most interesting to you, one, and two, which do you think will find the most success in the long term?
So all these new techniques to help improve performance to deal with the actual silicon in your chip itself. So when we're talking about 3D stacking and chiplets, or Vcache, or Apple with its integrated onboard memory, these all add significant cost. And one of the key elements moving forward is how do we bring down that cost? One of them is volume. You essentially build it into the design, and then the savings will come. It's like Wayne's World, the savings, people will come.
Right. If you build it, they will buy.
Yes, and the more you buy, the more you save, according to NVIDIA.
Oh, right. Oh, my goodness.
So it's, there is still going to be a very strong use case for the mass market to use none of those technologies and just stay on the simplified platform because that's easiest to use.
Right.
However, with the cost of manufacturing going up, the cost of packaging going up, but that desire to still get generation on generation performance means that these costs are increasing and they're going to be passed down to the end user.
Right.
What exactly will win, I think, will be the technologies that end up cost optimized.
Well, I have to say, to my mind, Apple's not interested in cost optimization. They're just not. They don't need to.
Well, no, they are, because it improves their margins.
Right, that side of it, okay.
Yeah.
And they pass the savings on to them selves.
Yes.
Right. I see actually Intel has, when I say they went all in, I mean, you're talking about what? The next, sort of 400 class i5 is going to have, 14 cores?
Yep.
That's nuts.
Well, I think the key thing here is it's going to have 5 chiplets, 3D integrated, right? When AMD first showcased their chiplet design, so you have cores on one piece of silicon, you have I/O on another piece of silicon, and then a
Infinity Fabric.
Yeah, a fast interconnect in between. So rather than just doing it in one piece of silicon, you split it up into 2 or 3. The cheapest processor they sold with that technology was $300.
Right.
Just showing just how expensive even AMD's implementation of these new technologies, which is the simplest, what AMD's doing is the most simplest version that anybody's doing.
But the scalability is startling. It's quite good.
But the price, the lowest price is $300. I think the lowest price now, official retail price is about $200 that you can get that hardware for. But it's been 5, 6, 7 years to do that. So with Intel taking this step with their next generation Meteor Lake processors, and obviously Apple being Apple, it's gonna take years and years and years for these things to come down to a more cost-effective bulk market solution.
Right.
But AMD's right now is the simplest, and is moving towards being the cheapest. The thing is, their scalability. If you look at everybody else's solution could arguably do more.
Right.
So it's a question of where's your baseline, where's your headline, and but will you even get there in 20 years?
Right.
The whole thing about research and R&D and economics. I mean, for the end user, a lot of arguments I get is the end user doesn't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't care about how the silicon is made, how it's packaged, how it comes together, how it works. They just care, is it price performant, and is it the right buy for me?
Is it good?
Is it good? And this is why we have people who test the hardware at the high-end level. The engineers can fiddle about with it for ages.
That does, to me, come back to the 100 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Celsius, because that does sort of throw a wrench into traditional benchmarking. And okay, well, it really comes down to what is your cooling solution for the benchmark. I think they're keeping us on our toes. I think that's the goal. Dr. Cutress, if I could take one last second, because I know you do have a thing coming up. What is the most exciting technology to you right now? No limitation on the question, wherever you're looking.
Ooh, so 3D stacking is really, really interesting. And I'll preface that by saying what interests me is the innovative cooling solutions I think that are going to have to be made.
Right.
So if you have a hot silicon with hot silicon stacked, you have to find a way to do cooling in between the layers. This sort of like concept of micro-channel cooling that's been in research for a decade or more. I've been told by one company that it's a solved problem, and I was like, well, how much does it cost? And then we come into the cost issue of implementing some of this stuff.
There's so many variables.
Yes.
So many. And including those pesky laws of thermodynamics.
You can't break the laws of physics, but you can bend them.
And that's, I think, a good note to end it on. Dr. Ian Cutress, everyone, thank you so much for giving me your time. And it's been great hanging out with you over here at LTX 2023, which is over by a couple of days now. But guys, thanks so much. Be sure to catch more from Dr. Ian over at Tech Potato. Follow him on Twitter, on all the things.
All the things.
It's going to be here, probably, right there, post-production. All right? Thanks very much, guys. Take care. Also, thank you to Adam from PC World for helping out with this awesome video.
Anytime.
All right. He's very tall. Once again, I want to say thank you, Dr. Cutress, for taking the time to talk with me. I know you said just to call you Ian, but Dr. Ian? Anyway, guys, I hope you really enjoyed that. Keep an eye out for the content that's coming out through the rest of the week, the review of the Skytech PRISM 3, along with the response that I got from Skytech on the AIO situation that was going on there. And don't worry, it's pretty much resolved, is what the situation is. And the stream's coming up for Black Friday deals, and I'm also hoping to release a video going through some of those deals so you guys can see it. But the streams are more important because things can change very quickly when it comes to Black Friday stuff, including stock, pricing, all that stuff. So stay tuned for that. Get subscribed if you haven't already. I mean, Paul told you to. How can you say no to that? That's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching this one, liking this one, and all that stuff. And thank you so much for all the other 99 episodes that you guys have checked out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's because of you that I get to talk about computers for a living. It means the world to me. And I wouldn't, there's no other job I want. This is it. This is what I want to do forever. I hope people like and subscribe because I'm going to do it whether I have to do it from a cardboard box or from this room. I'm going to be doing it. So thank you so much, guys, for everything. And I hope that you guys are able to find a great deal during this Black Friday and then the rest of the holiday season if you don't find something you like now. But I will be making as much content as possible to help you guys out with finding the right thing for you. And until then, take care.